Good morning, 7th grade. This is Mrs. Leisgang and Mrs. Jansen. We are going to be running a lesson electronically regarding strong leads because writers engage their reader by developing a strong lead using inner thinking, dialogue, feelings and emotions, action, figurative language. These are 5 different ways that authors can begin their narrative to really grab the reader's attention. And so today you're going to be developing your own strong lead for your own personal narrative. And I'm going to share some of the strong leads that I developed. I actually developed all 5 because I developed each lead thinking that once all 5 are developed, I can pick the best, most engaging, strong lead. So let's get started. While I'm going through the strong lead lesson, you can pause this at any point in time if you want to stop and jot your thinking. So here we go. So first, writers engage their reader by developing a strong lead using inner thinking. So this is probably one of the easiest ways that you can engage your reader, to share what's going on in the character's brain with all those thoughts that are going on. So I have an example for you for my short narrative, and my inner thinking example for my waking up narrative is, mornings stink, I thought. Every morning is the same. I never want to get up, and I fight the alarm. I wish I woke up well rested. Why can't I wake up happy and well rested? So I'm really working hard to connect with readers and trying to share with them how much I despise waking up in the morning and share that through my inner thinking. So now it's your turn to try and create an inner thinking lead for your personal narrative. This would be a good time to pause the video, and then work in your writer's notebook, creating an inner thinking lead for your personal narrative. Moving on. The next type of lead that seems to be the easiest to develop is using dialogue, where you have the character speaking, whether they are speaking and kind of mumbling to themselves or they're speaking to another character. You can use dialogue to truly engage the reader. And so my example for my waking up narrative is me talking to myself, because ideally, waking up in the morning is not my favorite thing, and I'm not talking to anybody else when I'm in the wake-up process. I'm just kind of mumbling and muttering to myself. So I'm really trying to push forward the idea of how much I despise waking up in the morning through like this very quiet mumbling that takes place. So here's my example. Buzz, buzz, buzz. I mutter under my breath. Fit, bit, be quiet. I want to keep sleeping. And so my annoyance with the alarm is hopefully coming through loud and clear. So now it's your turn to try and create a dialogue lead for your personal narrative. So this would be a good time to pause the video, and in your writer's notebook, write down the dialogue that you might use at the beginning of your narrative to engage the reader and to really drive the details home of what's happening in your narrative. Next, writers engage their reader by developing a strong lead using feelings and emotions. This is a biggie. You know, is your stomach have butterflies in it? Is there some excitement? How are your fingertips tingling because you're so excited about what's happening? So once again, I despise waking up in the morning. So my example really has to drive that point home of how miserable and awful mornings are for me. And I want to share those feelings and emotions. So this was a tough one for me, and I really struggled. But what I came up with was, with a foggy head, I silently scream at my Fitbit alarm. The alarm always buzzes way too early, reminding me that I am not a morning person. So I'm trying to show how angry I am having to wake up in the morning. I used a little bit of inner thinking to kind of push and drive that point home. And it is now your turn to try and create a feelings and emotions lead for your personal narrative. It could be that you're angry and upset and you have steam coming out of your ears because you're so mad. It could be that you're so excited that you have butterflies in your stomach because you just can't wait for something exciting to happen. You decide, but create a strong lead using feelings and emotions. So this is a good time to pause, and you can jot in your notebook the strong lead that uses feelings and emotions. Next, writers engage their reader by developing a strong lead using action. This is probably the one that most writers shy away from, because you have to include action, movement of your arms, movement of your legs, facial expressions, and things like that. But this is actually a very unique and creative way to engage your reader. And so I have an action example for my waking up narrative. And buzz, buzz, buzz. My alarm, where is my alarm? Clumsily, I tap my Fitbit, attempting to turn it off. Fail. With a bit more force, I obsessively slap my wrist. The irritating buzzing stops. So I was trying to really drive that point home of how the alarm continues to buzz, and because I'm so clumsy in the morning, it's difficult for me to turn it off because I'm still so sleepy. You can create an action lead for your personal narrative by trying to weave in those details of facial expressions, arm movements, the way your body is moving through your motions if you're running, trying to really slow down your piece, your writing piece, and show the action through your writing. You can pause the video and work on collecting your action lead for your personal narrative in your writer's notebook. Next, writers engage their reader by developing a strong lead using figurative language. So many of us are very good at developing figurative language. We did have lessons earlier in the school year about comparing objects to a feeling. And so this is a great opportunity for you to go back and kind of rethink that lesson. Water is like love because you can't live without it. The tangible object and comparing it to an intangible object to come up with figurative language. So I went along the lines of using figurative language in my waking up narrative as a strong lead. And here's my example. Mornings are my worst enemy because I despise waking up every morning, just like most people despise interacting with their worst enemy. So I chose to compare mornings to my worst enemy using a metaphor. I do have a spelling error in there. It should read just like most people despise interacting with their worst enemy. I need to get rid of the word and, so I apologize for that. But mornings are my worst enemy, and I was comparing my mornings to my worst enemy as a metaphor. So now you can take the time to create figurative language for your personal narrative, a strong and engaging lead using figurative language. This would be a good time to pause the video. Good. So we are at the end of the video. You have taken some time throughout class today to develop strong leads using inner thinking, strong leads using feelings and emotion, strong leads using dialogue, figurative language, and action. Each of those is an effective way to engage your readers. So your job now is to read through each of your strong leads and decide which one, circle the one that you believe is the most engaging. Circle that strong lead, and when we see you on Monday, we will be weaving those strong leads into our personal narrative. Now remember, your job today is to do your best work, follow the directions from the substitutes, make sure that you are on top of your reading goal and completing your reading response in the form of an ICE response, and be safe this weekend.